go ahead and get things kicked off here. Thank you again. I say it every week, but I mean it every week. Thank you guys for showing up and participating in our meetings, and trying to learn something, trying to better yourselves and your skills so that you can better serve your clients. I think it's awesome. We should have even more participation, but you guys are the ones who show up week in and week out, and you guys are the ones that we're counting on to help us grow. So thank you for doing that. Really appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get things kicked off this week with superstar Dawn Kay.
All right. Thank you very much. Hey, everybody. Good to see your faces. And as we were just talking earlier, for those of you who weren't on yet, there's talk that we're going to be returning to the offices soon. We're not sure when, but I'm sure over the next week or so, we'll have more detail. I want to thank Soren and Evelyn for sending their clients to me for homeowners insurance. We got 2 super happy clients, and they're on their way to closing. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that I've been writing several policies lately for buyers who are letting the seller rent back. So in that case, it's going to cause the type of insurance that the buyer has to be a landlord policy versus a homeowner's, because they are actually landlords while the seller is living in their property, while they're renting back, so to speak. So that's something that you might want to chat with your buyers about if they're in that situation. And it's also very smart to encourage the sellers to get contents coverage or tenants coverage, because they're going to be responsible for making sure their contents and liability are covered, because it won't be under the landlord policy. And if for some reason they don't get a tenant policy and something goes wrong and they're found guilty, whoever is going after them is going to go after deep pockets. So if the seller doesn't have insurance, you can bet they're going to go after your buyer's insurance. So make sure that they have the proper coverage. And if you have any questions, I can chat more with you about that. But I've seen a lot of that come up lately, and one of the agents in one of the other offices actually asked about that specifically. So it's happening. So just wanted to make you guys aware. But other than that, if you don't have any questions, I'm your gal for home, auto, tenant, renters, landlord, all that good fun stuff. If you have any questions, warranties, flood zone determinations, you know that.
Hey, Dawn, is there any
Yes.
way you could put that in a paragraph on your info? You know how I put all my stuff in my packages? Is there any way to write a paragraph about that to say, hey, check with your insurance, but put it on your stuff?
What do you mean on my stuff, Kelly? Like PDFs or something?
I've got a sheet that goes in all of my listing and buyer packages that has all your information. It's actually a full page, and it talks about insurance. I can't honestly remember what it talks about. I'll send it to you.
Okay, yeah, because I'm sure we can come up with something.
Because that would be a great form to put in our listing and or buyer packages, so it's kind of already there, and you can kind of brief over it before it happens.
Sure. Yep,
anyway,
I'm happy to help with that. Anything
for me. Anyway, all right, thanks.
You're welcome.
That's a really great reminder. That's something that it never even occurred to me that for the 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever it happens to be, the buyer is actually a landlord.
Yes.
And there could be some liability there. Now, my guess is a landlord policy is going to be a little bit more expensive than, an owner's primary residence policy, which could have an impact then on their debt to income and their ability to qualify. So there are a lot of factors to consider in this entire game.
Yes.
Getting qualified for real estate. That's really interesting. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. Good reminder. So Brian, I know that you guys are mobile right now, and there's a huge flood over at your office, and you're in the process of getting that cleaned up. Have they given you any projections as to what that day might be?
Well, Candy sent out an email this morning saying that she hopes by next week, the end of next week, I believe it says, that we'll be back able to work in the office. I mean, I'm still doing the closings in there, but we have no access to restrooms. So all the ladies are working from home. I know, Kelly, you got an email from Debbie last night at 1 a.m, still working away on that death certificate. So, I mean, we're trying the best we can, but without being in the office, it's been a real hindrance. So hopefully next week, by the end of next week, we'll be back. I know it's just been a nuisance. The agents are not happy over there right now with the flood, and they can't work. So it's unfortunate, but it's going to get all back together. And like I said, if we get through this, we can, get through anything. Last week we had the gas crisis, then we had the flood, then we have the pandemic. So they've thrown about everything at us, right? So I mean, we're still resistant. We're still working. I tell you what, we're working as hard as we can. But please appreciate everybody's patience in this next week till we get through this. Today we are having a class, the CE class, and it's not too late. If you click on this flyer, I talked to Matt this morning. If you click on there and register, you can still get in for 1 o'clock. It's 2 hours, free CE, free PLE. It's going to be on mechanic liens. I also have the chart for, we're going to do signing authority in June, and we're going to do 1031 exchanges in July. We're going to do FERPTA in August, Virginia descendant estates in November or October, and fraud again in November. So there'll be opportunities. It's the third Wednesday, 1 o'clock. So it's all free. It's great knowledge because you can fire away. The instructor, Matt, if anybody's been on the call that's had Matt Lynch teach, he's unbelievable. So that's what we're rolling out. So it's still not too late. He said, we'll take you. We've got like 19 signed up, but if you want to sign up, you just click that link that's on that flyer and fill in your information. Matt should have sent you a link. So that's what we're trying to do, is do more CE education, because it comes up, it changes, things change every day. I know I was introduced to mechanic liens in 1992 over on the peninsula with the Prada homes. When Mark Ellsworth, who used to work for Lawyers Title, said, we have got a problem. I'm like, what's that? He said, somebody just filed 19 mechanic liens on one of those new construction homes. So I'm like, what the heck is that? So almost 30 years ago, we're still talking about them. So it's a good thing to know. So if you get time, join in, sign up, get in. And the classes are going to keep rolling. So that's about all I have. I know we've been just extremely busy. So it has been a blessing. I don't mean to be on the down, but it has been a rough since Mother's Day, when I walked through the office and my shoes and socks were soaked. I couldn't believe it. So anyway, the shoes have,
thanks, Brian.
the shoes have dried out. So
Excellent. Thanks, man. We obviously, we couldn't get these things closed without your hard work. And I know I got an email from Debbie at 10:30 last night. I feel so bad for her. She's just be working herself to death over there.
Well, and Hannah got married. She's back today, so that'll help us.
Good. Okay. All right. Excellent.
Thanks.
So, and mechanic liens can absolutely kill a deal. So, yeah, there's good reason to pay attention and join that CEPL class, because it's free and you're going to need credits anyway. So cool.
Thanks.
Mr. John, how are you, my friend?
Hey, everybody.
You got some good news for us today?
Of course, yeah. I'm just piggybacking on a couple things Dawn and Brian already covered. So we are seeing a lot of rentbacks, because we know that can be a negotiating tactic as far as allowing someone to take property so that they can sell, have the proceeds, not have the contingency to buy the next house. So we know how hard that is to do that. So I know that from Dawn's perspective, she's absolutely right that if you're not going to be occupying the property and it's essentially a tenant relationship because it's a seller still living there, then that is, it should be a landlord policy. And with that said, you're opening up kind of a can of worms when it comes to the lending side of things. We can't, because imagine if you're buying a primary residence, we cannot close your loan with a landlord policy, because it says it's a different kind of policy. And it almost is it kind of contradicts the narrative of buying as a primary residence, right? It's like, well, you're essentially saying you're going to live there, but then you're going to give us a landlord policy. Now, they both are accurate. It's not saying that they're not, but we can't close with a landlord policy for a primary purchase. So it's a sticky situation. It's really hard because we don't want you not to have coverage. God forbid something happens in that 3 weeks, because sometimes people are renting back for 55 days because you have to occupy again within 60 days after closing for to be primary, right? That's a long time for exposure insurance wise. And I definitely agree. So I don't know the best answer to that question as far as how to work that out. But from our perspective, we can't even accept the landlord policy as your homeowner's insurance if you're the buyer of a primary residence. So you have to have that, you know, and, I don't know, would you have a separate policy, Dawn? Again, we had to have the primary one in place for the loan. I mean, would it be a rider? I mean, I don't know what the best answer is. I don't know if there's a good answer to that question.
It's two separate policies. There's no way to put any kind of endorsement or rider on a homeowners to make it a landlord. So that's the sticky thing. And I guess what we could do in a pinch, and I don't want to say this out loud, is we could do the homeowners, and then after they close, we could switch it to a landlord. But again, that's getting into that gray area that's not super comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. So everything, like you said, is right. I just, I think of my perspective, I'm like, okay, well, I get a landlord policy and we, you know, right before closing, we can't use it. And then, you know, how it's going to impact the payment either way. It's just something that's going to be, it's tough. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you are an owner of property and you do an Airbnb on some weekends, right? Is there something that like something that can be added to the policy to allow for a short-term rental if you're not there, though you're still an occupant, but it's not really a true investment property, or is it just basically black or white investment, landlord or not landlord?
Well, that again is kind of a sticky situation because we can quote it with a policy as a homeowners with some short-term rental, but again, you're getting into some non-standard insurance carriers for that type of coverage. And it's usually not super competitive rates. So again, that can impact your debt to income ratio. And again, I don't know that that's the best solution because you can't tell the insurance company that it's a short-term rental and when the person's living there full-time for 6 weeks, because if there's a claim, the insurance company can certainly deny it, which means the homeowner is going to be the one that's going to foot the bill for whatever damage. And I certainly wouldn't want to put anybody in that position.
Well, can you do me a favor? I mean, because this is a situation that's happening all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can go to the underwriter or, you know, talk to Matt, or they can go to the underwriters, and obviously every carrier may be different as far as how they interpret it, because the true intent is that the buyer is going to occupy. We all know that. And that is true kind of policy that should be in place for the entire term of the insurance policy. But there's got to be some sort of interpretation of how best to do that, knowing that from a lending perspective, we can accept landlord, though it's something that's needed for this instance. So maybe, I don't know, there's got to be some guidance there as far, instead of doing some, you know, back office stuff, because I mean, everyone should be aware of what's going on. I just feel like that's something that maybe should be brought up to the carriers, is what's happening. Is there something that, you know, another rider that they can add for a specific situation just like that, not any other renters, but the seller staying for a couple, you know, short, like 60 days max. I mean, there's got to be something that I feel like they should escalate to talk about, because I just don't want to see someone, you know, a house burn down and then they don't have the right insurance, and then that'd be so sad.
Well, and it's going to be underwriter specific because each carrier has their own underwriting guidelines. So, you know, it really depends on where the coverage is placed, which carrier. And I can certainly make some calls and chat with some underwriters to see what possibilities are out there. And I can let you know that for sure.
Yeah, let them know the catch-22 that the person would be in, and we see upfront in that scenario, because it's not a one-off. We're seeing it all over the place. So put that out there, that it sounds to say put landlord in it, but then we're gonna have an issue on the lending side, and every lender would. So unless you
guys, wouldn't a renter's policy supersede all of that?
The renter's policy only covers the contents, interior contents, doesn't cover
and liability.
It doesn't cover the actual the structure and the fixture.
So if a tenant burns your house down, you still have to engage your landlord policy.
That's right.
Well, but it depends on the liability. It depends on who's responsible for the loss.
Okay, so if it's a poor electrical, then it's you, the owner, but if it's a cooking fire, then it's the tenant's policy.
Exactly. It all comes down to an underwriter and an adjuster coming out and finding out the cause of the loss. And that's who his insurance company basically is up for, whatever coverage needs to be taken care of.
That's still a lot of gray area.
Yes.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough situation. So sorry, I didn't want to digress there, but I just wanted to, well, it's still fresh in our minds. Gotta just keep that in mind. So going forward, I want to also thank Sage and Dawn for everything that they do to help us get things to closing. I can't iterate how much, and Jason, by the way, too, and we're all part of the same, the same team to get things to closing. There's a lot of sausage making going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of conversations that Debbie and Kelly and Brian and Dawn and I have that we're running around like chickens, their heads cut off in the back end. But just to do everything we can to make it a good customer experience for your clients. I want you, that's paramount to us. Now, with the volume that we all are seeing, and this is not just Prosperity, this is industry wide, we are seeing service levels start to pile up. We're seeing things taking longer from an underwriting perspective. I just want to put that out there because I think it's important for everyone to know that if Prosperity is dealing with it and how purchase focused we are, if we are dealing with backups on underwriting turn times, it's got to be really bad other places. So it's going. You need to have that conversation with your buyer and seller ahead of time that is busy. Think about this: with the rates how low they were last year, with all the refinances that kind of went through the industry, right? Think about how low they were. They were the lowest they've ever been. Our refinance volume as a company is down 75%, but our overall volume is higher than it was last year. So it's all being replaced by purchase business. Now, why that's important is purchases by definition require they have a lot more moving pieces. You have the seller, it's a lot tougher than a refinance as far as from an underwriting perspective. And it just creates more time. It's more tighter time frames because refinances, they're not as focused on exact closing dates, purchase have to close. So it's really pushing the boundaries of what underwriting and operations are able to do. And in fact, the area managers were on a call yesterday and everyone was kind of going back and forth. And our CEO said, all right, everybody stop. He basically made all the area managers cancel whatever they're doing today, drive to Chantilly for a strategy session on fixing the problem, addressing it today. So Kevin had to stop, basically drive to Chantilly today to have a meeting with Tim Wilson and the other area managers and the operations managers to kind of make sure that we have our hands around what's operations, because we're going into the spring market, it's going to get busier. So just want to let you guys know what's going on in the background, that that's all we care about is the purchase transaction, making sure it's as smooth as possible. But right now, I'm just going to be honest, it is operations, everything's just kind of taking longer, and it's frustrating from my standpoint. But it's just the reality of the situation. So make sure you talk to your buyers and sellers. It's not because we're putting things on the back burner. It's a straight up volume thing. So we're staffing more, adding even more staff. We're allowing processors to underwrite some loans. We're doing little things all over the place to try to improve things, but just putting that out there. So you'll see that throughout the industry this spring. So prepare for it.
John?
Yeah, go ahead, Kelly.
So give us an idea of, so used to, we always banked on a 45, 60-day closing. That was pretty normal in a real world. Now people are trying to do 30-day closings because they're living in extended stays and hotels and everything else. And then unfortunately, that's not our problem, but it does come with our client. What is a realistic time frame right now to what our goals should be for our clients?
And there's always an exception to every situation. when people are moving across the country and they need to be in some place by a certain date, we will move mountains to try to make that date happen. Now, with that being said, if there's any flexibility in the closing time frame, see if you can get it. If you can get 40 days, 45 days, it just allows for so much more flexibility in the timing of everything to happen. And it's just basically that's 2 extra weeks. And again, we don't always need it. 30 days should be the minimum time frame. And I'm talking about 30 days from the date of ratification. You know, and even that it's going to be tight potentially. We can still do it. We still do shorter than that even sometimes. All that being said is if you have flexibility, it'll make it better for a better customer experience for everybody. If you just basically can make it closer to 40 days, or even that extra week, 35, 37 days, the extra week helps a lot because sometimes you have, you know, for example, the end of this month, we have Memorial Day, right? So that holiday weekend, people take off. So you can lose a couple days, like for VA appraisals, for example, that's a day that they don't have to send appraisals back in. So it's not counted in returning appraisals. So every day is crucial. So to answer your question, realistically, I mean, I would love to have 45 days, but we can easily do 30, 35. I'd love 35 would be great if we can get 35 days at least on a contract.
I think it's already competitive enough to push it to 35. I completely you're saying, John, and you're not the only one saying it either. Excuse me. But I mean, we're already competing against, well, we'll never win against cash, but you know, if another lender, and I don't even know how they're, well,
I think we lost him.
going to extend.
And that's I hear, and you're so right, because in this market you have to do whatever you have to do to win the deal. And honestly, as long as you and our buyers are on the same page, no, that's the strategy, I'm fine with it. Let's just do it. We'll do the best we can. And yes, but you know, if they think that's going to happen, and then we look like the bad guy because we are a couple days late, or we're asking for something what we consider to be last minute, but it's a couple days before closing, but it's only actually, you know, 2 to 3 weeks after we got the contract. Like that's going to be normal. So again, as long as that expectation is set, then it all is going to be fine, because what we just don't want is the expectation of, oh man, this is all last minute. This is disorganized. This is you know, feels rushed. And that's what people remember of this whole entire transaction, where you've been showing the property for 4 months. All I remember is that closing, because it's the last thing that happened. And what we don't want is that it'll be sour at the end, because that's what they'll remember, right? Sorry, but you do to win the deal, and we will try to accommodate, you know. And that was kind of leading to my second and last piece of what I was going to talk about, was the competitive nature of contracts. And you know, when it comes to things like, you know, if we can go conventional, we're going to try to go conventional. Even if, you know, if it's VA, maybe we can write in terms of they can go either one, so that if the seller wants to go with the conventional, maybe, you know, we can have the conversation with the seller to say, hey, look, we'd like to go VA, but we can go conventional. So we'll put both of them in contract. Therefore, they can guarantee over the appraised value, that kind of thing, to be creative. If it's not VA, lenders do not require a termite inspection. So you could theoretically remove the termite and moisture. I'm not saying you should or would, but that's something that you could do. I've been seeing buyers agree to pay sellers closing costs, but be careful. Like if you say they're going to pay all sellers closing costs, some sellers think that means you're going to be paying commissions too. So that's kind of something separate, because that's an agreement between the seller and the agent, or the agency, I should say. But you can do that. Now, VA loans do not allow you to pay commission. Buyers can pay sellers commission, but other loans, potentially you could actually buyer could pay the sellers the commission for the agents potentially. But hopefully we're not going to get to that point. But we are seeing things like that just to kind of win deals. but it's tough out there if you're not a conventional loan, and it goes, cash, conventional, maybe VA, FHA, and then like bond loans, for some grant loan programs. If I'm a seller, I'm going to tend to go towards the conventional. So we need to kind of meet the sellers where they are, potentially address things like the VA buyer's ability and willingness to pay over and above appraised value, that they have the cash to do it, although they may not have to, they will. Some of that confidence level, that conversations we can have with the seller. So I just want to kind of put that out there, that we'll do whatever we need to do and be competitive to try to make the offer seem more competitive, because I know how frustrating it is to show a buyer, 50 houses and put in 10 contracts and not get any. I can't imagine how hard that is. So does anybody have any questions about any of that, or discussion about how competitive the buyer's market is right now? Are you guys seeing that same thing?
It's definitely competitive out here with anything and everything we do, whether you list a house or whether you've got a buyer.
Well,
Yeah, it's still a house on fire for me in the market, and with my buyers.
Now, I am seeing when you go farther west, because I've actually sold 3 houses out in Franklin area, Cortland area here recently. And when you do go out that far, you don't have the competitiveness that you have here. Of course, you've got your clients driving 40, 50 minutes to work, but they're willing to risk that. And you can actually get a better house for your money. But I'll speak for the broker, make sure that, Franklin versus Smithfield, reselling a house could be very different in the future. So that, Jason, I don't want to get into your business, but that's something that you do need to keep in mind when you go that far. But there's not even, like, I just wrote an offer on a $350,000 house, and it was on the market for 5 days, and it's a beautiful house. And I was up against one other offer, and that was it. So, the farther you go out, the less buyers have to perform, in my opinion, out that way. At least that's what's happening with me. And I've noticed that cash's guarantees are going away too. There's not as many as those. Are y'all seeing that?
Nope.
I think if you go far enough west, I'm sure that the demand's going to drop off. I mean, just by definition of the concentration declining. Yeah, right. There's no jobs out there. Yeah. So if you want to drive 3 hours or 2 hours, I'm sure you could probably find a good deal. But that's a good point. I mean, every market's different. Eastern Shore, I do a lot of stuff out there. They're still seeing some seller concessions. It's not as crazy, but it's Hampton Roads and every other metropolitan area. I mean, the inventory is just incredibly low. I was on a call and the property management was on there, Jan Brzezinski, and she said, I don't know how this is true. She said they didn't have any open Long and Foster rentals.
We don't.
I just saw that this morning.
Like that's she's like, she's never had that.
No.
So I mean, think about that for a second. You can't buy a house and you can't rent a house.
Mhm.
I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, I don't know.
The rents are just as competitive, except there's no way. I take that back. I just had a renter offer more rent per month if their application was selected. I have no idea what the legality of that is.
That's totally fine. That's totally
Yeah,
fine.
it's just like offering on a house.
It's negotiation.
Right.
How it's working right now. It's crazy, man. Yeah.
We've even had tenants purchasing the homes that they live in. That's what's been, I've had 3 of those listings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is purchasing the home.
That's right.
Extended stays are where I've got 2 people right now.
It's a win-win really, because the tenant who's living in the home has been renting the home, doesn't have to go out on the open market and try to win something. And they're already familiar with the property. So
The contract I just wrote, they've been there for 4 years.
that's
Yeah.
right.
That's one of my 3.
Yeah, it worked out for me real good. That's all I can say.
That's right.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate it very, very much. I do have a couple of cool things I want to share with you. So I'm going to jump over into my screen share here. And this is, let's see if I can find the right screen. Oh, so let me show you this. So keeping current matters, obviously, this is the blog post, came out an hour ago. But what I thought was interesting about it is the results of a Realtor.com survey showed that 1 in 10 homeowners plans to sell this year, with 63% of those looking to list in the next 6 months. So I think that is inspiring. You know, that suggests we're going to be getting more inventory. And it also suggests that, you know, as a market, there's a lot more opportunity for us to get listings. When you've got 10% of all homeowners suggesting they plan to sell, and 63% of those say it's probably going to be within the next 6 months, and the majority of those homes are under $350,000, I mean, that's right in our wheelhouse, you guys. That is our bread and butter. That's how we make a living right there. That is our market. So just know, you know, when you're talking to people, when you're marketing to people, if the person you're talking to isn't thinking of selling, I guarantee he knows somebody that is. So let's make sure that we're promoting ourselves as the experts in real estate, and, you know, offering to answer questions and help them through this incredibly stressful process. So if you haven't seen this, guys, it's I'm sure it's all over Facebook by now. Make sure you go and read this article. But when I looked at it this morning, this really stood out to me. I thought, man, that sounds like a huge opportunity for us going forward. And it's also great for the buyers because it's, you know, it suggests that we're going to get more inventory, which is really, really important. And that should help to tamper some of the outrageous demand and outrageous things that the buyers are having to do today. So the other thing I wanted to show you guys was this email that came out from Rain, what was it, 2 days ago. So I know that we all, you know, we see this part, and this is what a lot of people share on social media because it is absolutely mind-boggling. But Rain, like them or not, has been doing a pretty good job with their newsletters as of recent. And so I like to look a little deeper into it. And so if you clicked on this link right here, it takes you to a couple.
You didn't change the screen.
Oh, I didn't change the screen?
No.
I see it on mine. Let's see. All right, hold on. Sorry about that, guys. So let's see. How about this one? Yeah. Okay. So this is the one that most of us see shared all over Facebook. And if you're not sharing it, you probably should because it's really good information. But if you look down a little further into these Rain newsletters they send out, sometimes there's other cool stuff there. And so in this one they just sent out, they've added a couple of new reports to the reporting that Rain does, and all the statistics and the numbers and things. So I clicked on it and I thought it was really interesting. And so I'm going to share with you guys the new reports and maybe talk about a couple of ways that you could use them in your business. So bear with me 1 second while I click over there. Okay, so this is the page. If you go to Rain and then you go to Rain statistics under services, then this is the page that opens up. And in here, you guys, there's loads and loads and loads of graphs and charts and statistics that are updated monthly, be it by city, neighborhood, you know, all sorts of things. And so this is the one here where the new graphs are. And a couple of them I thought were interesting. And I think, in fact, I have this one, I think, hanging up on the wall in the office here. And so what it does is, this is just for the month of April. And so it breaks down the month of April, our entire Hampton Roads real estate market. And so we had 3,231 homes sold in the month of April. We had 3,792 homes come on the market and 3,749 homes go pending or, you know, under contract. So with contingencies removed, most people will say that's pending. But what's cool about it is you can look by price, right? And so you have new information now that you can share with your potential sellers or buyers and say, look, in the price range that we're looking in, 394 homes came on the market, 428 homes sold, right? 461 homes went under contract in the 3 to 350 market. And this is just, again, in the month of April. Really, really powerful information, I think, to educate our buyers and sellers on the conditions of the market and why people are making and taking such extraordinary steps today to buy a home. And let me show you this other graph. Let me see if I close this one. So let's see this one. All right, so you guys see in this one now, total units sold 3231 at the top.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Stacia. I can't see anybody. I minimized my camera thing. So, but this one's really cool too, because this one tells you, looking at this price bracket again, 3 to 350, they're selling at 100% of list price. So whatever that list price is it 325? It's selling on average for more than 325, whatever that list price is. And so you can see, again, this is for the month of April. There were 428 homes sold with a median days on market of 7 days on market. And they are selling at over 100% of list price. And this is a really interesting graphic to look at, depending on, what price range your potential listing or your buyer is looking in. I think this is a great way to educate them on the condition of the market so that they understand what to expect. Like John said earlier, it really is about setting expectations so that we don't disappoint someone, at the end of the deal. We got to let them know up front. And I think this is to be a big part of educating buyers and sellers. So hopefully you guys think this is as neat as I do. I would put this into my buyer packet or my listing packet. They're going to keep this updated every single month. And so then you have some really good ammunition that you can go into that presentation with and say, well, listen, I know that we're looking in the 4 to 450 price range. This is where the market is right now, right? Good information right there. So hopefully you guys think that's as cool as I do. Any questions about that or anything? I've got one more thing I want to show you guys. All right. Let me click over to. All right, I think I can get there from here. So let me close this. And so I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I shared this in the TGIF. I was in a webinar. Hopefully you guys are seeing this, my course and learning plans. Somebody say yes.
I see it.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We're on
Megan.
mute, sorry.
Always got to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. So, yeah. All right. So I shared this in the TGIF. This is a free 30-day trial to Sherry Johnson's Academy. It's called the Playbook. And in here, all of you guys could sign up for this and go through. There's 16 courses in here, including a couple of our most popular courses, like building a gold mine pipeline, and make $50,000 at your next open house. Eden, Evelyn, I know you guys would be interested in that one. So you have an opportunity to sign up for this for a free 30-day trial. And during that 30 days, you could literally go through all of these courses. Now, there is ongoing coaching that comes with her program. If you decided to buy into it, it's only $99 a month. And so you get some individual and group coaching as well. But just this content alone is some of the most up-to-date, relevant real estate training that you can find anywhere. And you've got 30 days to grab it all for free. So I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out to you guys. So look in the TGIF email. There was a link in there, a special link in there that she gave to me to give to you so that you can get your free 30-day trial. Definitely be sure to check that out. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. And I know we've talked a lot about in the past building a gold mine pipeline and how relevant that is to your business, and that it helps you visualize the monetary value of your database. And there's just something really, really exciting about looking at your database and saying, I could have, $300,000 in GCI coming in the next 18 months. That's motivation, right? That's why we get up in the morning. That's why we do what we do. None of us would do this for free. I know I wouldn't. So hopefully you guys feel the same way. And I would encourage you to get in here and check this stuff out because it is really, really good content. And I think you'll enjoy it. Cool. Any questions about that? It's open mic night, people. Let's talk.
Scott actually had two things in the chat. One is where he lives, they're requiring all residents to get a liability policy for the building. I don't know if Dawn is still in here. And Scott wants to know, is it 30 days from when you sign up? So that must be the second.
It is. Yes, 30 days from when you sign up, Scott. Thank you. And Dawn, I don't know. So obviously, Scott's in a multifamily building. Can they require each of the residents to invest in individual liability policies?
I would say yes, because since it is a private dwelling, so to speak, it's the building. I'm sure that the owners can probably put whatever they want into effect. So I would say yes. I guess that's specific to the property.
Okay. Interesting. The only thing I know about Scott's building is he's got great views.
Not anymore.
He did.
That's
So
true.
They built that.
Monstrosity in front of him.
I know, right?
We can't talk about that. Scott will get mad. I don't want any bad words in my chat box.
That's right. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. Thank you very much for being here. If you need me, you know how to get me. Call Stacia.
No. Station works 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday. That's it.
That's right.
Call Jason. He's the boss. He gets paid the big bucks, not me. No, he gets
Maybe
paid
next
all the
year.
bucks. He gets paid all the bucks.
Oh, thank you guys. It's always a pleasure seeing your smiling faces. I cannot wait to come together in the office or at Buffalo Wild Wings or at Top Golf. Really looking forward to Top Golf, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's going to be a blast. Yeah. So coming soon. So, y'all take care.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.